just believe that this is the best time in the history of America for Black people. Now, hear me out. This is the best time. We see all these things taken away. Listen, this has always happened to Black people. We've always had to figure some shit out. Everything that you see, everything good, we on the bottom, everything bad, we on the top. That's kind of been how it's been. And something needed to happen in order for a shift to occur in our community. And while America is on fire, there has never been a time where so many white folks was out protest. There's never been a time in the history of this country where white folks and Black folks have been out there protesting, but not white folks. So I think that we have to really seize this opportunity, y'all. We have to build businesses. Less than 3% of businesses in Black communities are Black owned. What does that mean? We got to start building our own brick and mortars. We got to start doing our own community gardens. We got to start practicing collective economics. Black people will do business with Black people if we had options. We have $2 trillion of spending power. Less than 2% is spent within our community. We got to change it. Well, the reason why less than 2% is spent in our community is because we don't have enough businesses to spit with. Black people, it's time to rise up in times such as this. They are firing us. They are letting us go. So what does that mean? We got to build our own tables. We got to build our own houses. Fuck what they talking about. And we got to do it for ourselves. We got to be self-sufficient. We got to be independent. We got to take control of our lives, of our families, of our communities. And now is the perfect time to do it. And I'm excited about it for us.
Welcome to a special edition of Let It Be Known. I'm your host, Stacey Brown.
Peace and love, everybody. I'm your co-host, Niele Anderson.
And this morning, folks, Karine Jean-Pierre, who made history as the first Black and openly gay White House press secretary, has stepped out from behind the podium with a memoir that's already stirring controversy. An Independent, a look behind or a look inside a broken White House outside the party lines. She says the Democratic Party betrayed President Biden, failed Black women, and lost its spirit. The book is part defense, part reckoning, and all personal and unfiltered account of politics, loyalty, and identity from inside the most scrutinized building in the world. Well, here we are, folks. Again, welcome, Karine. You said the Democratic Party lost its fight and failed to protect vulnerable people. What specific failures made you decide to walk away from the party altogether?
So I think I talk about the 3 weeks, obviously, during the president's debate, and when he decided to hand over, pass the torch, if you will, to then Vice President Kamala Harris, which I think she did a phenomenal job in the 107 days that she had. It was historic. Her leadership was obviously impeccable and did a fantastic job, and I'm very proud of her. But I think the way that the Democrats behaved in that moment, it was the leadership, was something that I had never seen before. And to a point, almost even hindering her ascension to the top of the ticket. And I do think when you do things like that in a very public, ugly way, you're hurting the party. You know, the base is watching, people are looking. And so to me, that was one of the first moments that I was like, well, what's going on here? And then you fast forward to the end of our administration, to the beginning of the new administration. And I did feel as if what I'm seeing, and not just me, I was hearing from other members of the party or other just Americans doing their business every day in and day out at the airport or at a supermarket, and they would come up to me, some of them on the verge of tears, if not crying. What's happening? Why is the party not ready? Why are they not fighting? We knew we were going to lose in November, and now they're giving up their power, whether with agreeing to support nominees that were unqualified, or like seemingly to be throwing vulnerable communities under the bus. The anti-DEI was one of the first things that we heard coming into this administration, and there was no real fight. And so there were things that I was seeing very early on in just with this administration, that I was like, why are we acting as if it's business as usual? There's Project 2025 happening.
Right.
Our democracy is hanging by a thread. This is not business as usual. We need to be fighting.
So you said that a two-party system isn't working. And we just saw Mandami become the mayor-elect of New York, and he declared that he's a socialist Democrat. Do you see the party now having to reconcile a lot of the issues that they have, and that it could be the party that you once imagined it could be?
So, look, I think last night the election results just across the country were phenomenal and a good sign, not just for Democrats, but for our country. When you see Black women making history in mayoral race, when you see women making history, you see Mamdani making history. I think that is, I mean, that's our diversity. That's, when they're talking about anti DEI, but this is our country, right? Our diversity is indeed our strength. And I think that is what we saw last night. And look, another part of this too is that big tent. Voters elected Mamdani, who's a socialist part of the Democratic Party. They also elected the first woman governor in New Jersey, who was a CIA agent, was a CIA agent. I mean, those are different parts of the country and different parts of the party, and people showed their independence and actually voted and really put our country first in moving forward. And I think this is a message to Democrats, leadership. And it's not just, oh, Democrats won. It should be, oh, we hear you, the American people, the Democratic Party, we hear you, and you guys are here in this fight. You guys are paying attention, and you have these candidates who actually ran in a way that they listened to people, they went into a community, and there should be lessons that the Democratic Party leaders should be learning from the Mamdanis and even from the Shirelles. There should be lessons that they're taking. And so now this is not, yay, we won, but this is a good night. And now we have to move forward with a plan, with a strategy, because 2026 is right around the corner.
Karine, you mentioned about business as usual. I got to ask you this because the Supreme Court did something that they should not have done, according to most people, including myself, when they gave presidential immunity. And that ruling, when that ruling came down, of course, President Biden was in office, and when he left, as he was leaving office, he made a point to tell America how much danger they were in. The night before he left, I think it was the night before when he had that conference from the Oval Office. But could he have done something to either not necessarily prevent this because of the powers that the Supreme Court gave him? Because he gave it, we always said he gave it to Trump, but Biden was president at the time, so Biden had those same powers. Could there have been something he could have done to either prevent this or mitigate this?
So that's a good question. I'm not an expert at the Supreme Court and what could have happened and what could have been done differently. I'm just not an expert at it. Obviously, it's the Supreme Court is the highest court of the land. And I think what we tried to do is send a really loud message about the danger that we were in and the importance of people staying engaged. I mean, this is truly elections have consequences, right? That's how Trump was able to get three people on the Supreme Court, who were conservative, right? Elections. This is why it is important. One of the messages that I am trying to send to people is, in my book in particular, is the importance of being independent thinkers and really focused on the moment that we're in. I am not telling people to become independents. I'm telling them to become independent thinkers. And the reason why is because there's so much happening. There's misinformation, disinformation. You can't even trust what you read most of the time or see even most of the time. It is on us. It is on us to educate ourselves even more so than ever and hold the powerful people, our leaders, to account. That's why last night was so amazing. I mean, just think about it. Earlier this year, we were told, you know what, Black women should be running. They shouldn't be running. We don't need diversity. We need, we should be really focusing for 2028 on the white guy to be at the top of the ticket. We can't do it. And look what happened this year. Look what happened. The history that was made by women, by Black women, by what we saw in New York City with Mamdani. So their message that they were trying to feed us early this year is wrong. It is flat out wrong.
Right.
And so that's why that I hope that's the message that comes out from last night's win. That diversity is indeed our strength. And if
Hmm.
you bring everybody together and you actually speak to them so that they feel heard, we can get a lot of things done.
Right. Yeah, you see that on the state and local level from the election that just happened. Black women and even millennials
Mhm.
becoming mayors and being elected. That's the hope. You talked about black women. I don't know if you remember, but I think it was in 2018 we sat on a panel together at Power Rising with
Oh
for Leah
yes,
Daughtry.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. I
And
remember pre-COVID.
yeah,
Pre-COVID is
yeah,
what I recall. I
pre-COVID we were
remember that
in.
was in Atlanta. Was that in
No, we
Atlanta?
were in New Orleans. It was New Orleans.
New Orleans. So was it okay? Okay. I think Stacey Abrams came. Was it the one where
Yeah,
Stacey
Stacey
Abrams
Abrams
came?
came, and that's what I was going to
Yeah,
get to. We had Stacey Abrams there. We had
that's what
Kamala
I
Harris
remember. Yeah.
there. It was
Yep.
this.
Kamala
It was
Harris
the
came.
foundation of Black women rising. And to
Yep.
watch you, and your elevation, and then you become press secretary. And that's where I want to go. When you look at the press secretary now, look at how she handles that room. And then you think about your experience and everything that you went through. I want to know what your thoughts on that are now. And then second part is, what were your takeaways from that experience as press secretary?
Yeah, I love this question. So first of all, I do believe the importance of freedom of the press. And I say this all the time because it's really critical that we continue to say that because the press is the fourth estate and they're supposed to hold us all to account, powerful people to account. And what I was doing and other White House press secretaries, obviously before me, in that briefing room that was televised not only in this country but worldwide, is exercising in democracy. And it is important that that works because other people are watching us. And when you take that away, when you put people in the press briefing room who are only going to regurgitate your talking points or your message because they feel like, dear leader, this is what we have to do, then you have state TV. That's North
Mhm.
Korea. That's Russia. And you are taking away the really critical role of that journalists play. So I just want to make sure that I said that. And then
Mhm.
to answer the second part of the question, I'll just repeat something that former President Barack Obama said, which was, "Can you imagine if I did that? Can you imagine if I did any of the things that are currently happening?" And there is a Trump standard that exists with the media that's scary and insane, and it's complicit. And
Mhm.
that's some of the stuff you're seeing that. Now I want to be clear, I have seen some journalists really are starting to hold or have held the administration to account. I think some of them are just trying to figure out how do they deal with everything that's coming at them. But there is a Trump standard that I have seen, and that is problematic. I have a whole chapter in the book about the media.
Mm. And tell us, if you will, you were one of, if not other than Dr. Biden, the closest person to the former president in that administration. Um, what would you have said? Not his biggest strength, but his biggest weakness.
Yeah. So look, I've had an opportunity to know Joe Biden since 2009 when I worked in the Obama administration, and he's watched me grow and um, watched me become the person that I am today. And he decided. That I would be the person to be White House press secretary because he's known me and watched me for a long time. People seem to think he just plucked me out of nowhere, and I'm like, no, I've actually known the man for a while, and I used to travel with him on Air Force Two when he was vice president. Um, and this is like a kind of a double-edged sword answer that I have for you. I think his biggest strength is compassion, and sometimes his weakness is compassion. When you you know you care so much, and then sometimes you may care too much because sometimes it's hard to see clearly when you just have so much heart in the game.
Mhm.
And, but his compassion is the reason, I think, one of the reasons he got elected in 2020. People were dying. People were losing loved ones because of COVID. And you had a circus happening in the first Trump administration and responding to that. And the country was upside down, the economy and all of the things. And Joe Biden, who had been known for being someone of compassion and care, was able and experience. I think the experience really mattered to Americans. Was able to win and become president. And
But
so
we
he
we
went
not,
in. He went
oh, I'm sorry.
trying to make that change. No, he went in trying
Yeah.
to trying to really deal with multiple crises. But I think compassion could be a strength, and sometimes it could be a weakness at the same time.
But let me just quickly add, we don't always agree with our bosses. Was there ever a time you said, "Gosh, Joe, or Mr. President, no, maybe you want to do it this way"?
I mean, there are times where we went back and forth, and not going to get into specifics, but
Right,
certainly. I
right.
mean, there were things that he pushed me on, and to get answers on, and there are times where I had to share some really difficult information. With what I was hearing from the press, with what was being said, or how things were being covered. And those are not easy, right? Those are not easy to be like, look, Mr. President, this is what's happening. This is what's being said. And, there's a back and forth there. And I think he wanted us to challenge him. I don't think he wanted us to just be there and say nothing. I think he appreciated our thoughts and, what we were hearing and he would ask, he'd be like, what do you think, Karine? What do you think of whoever was sitting in front of him? What do you think? He definitely wanted to hear our thoughts and our opinions. That is something that I experienced.
Yeah, I don't think that's happening now in the White House.
No.
But your
Touche,
new book,
yeah.
it's not happening. Your new book, Independent, is flying off the shelves. And some are saying the book is a roadmap to leaving a two-party system. Would you
Yeah.
agree? And if not, what would you say you wanted to take away
No, it's not.
about your
I
book?
think people have to read the book. People have to read the book. And and what's so interesting is it's nuance, but people don't like nuance nowadays. But the book is nuance. What I am saying is the two-party system is broken because you need a two-functioning party system in order to fight for our democracy, in order for our democracy to be functioning. You have a party that's completely lost their minds and have gone
Mhm.
down the gutter, to my opinion. And then you had another party that I feel like the leadership wasn't meeting the moment. And so when you have that situation happening, how do you get the trust and the belief of people who are afraid and scared? And I also believe that it shows that there's something wrong with the system, and it should not be just about the two parties. It should be about the people, and that's what I saw last night. The
Mhm.
people were speaking out. The people showed up, and I would add
Mhm.
this other piece to it is, look, millions of independents right now. There are millions of independents, millions, and there's a growing number of young people who are becoming independents. That should send a message that people are saying they don't see themselves in the Democratic Party or the Republican Party. And what also should send a message is that when there's a primary, most independents, because there are a lot of closed primaries, can't participate. So we have to meet the moment of where we are with the system as well. And I'm very clear
Mm.
too. I'm not talking about a third party. I'm not for a third party. I talk about that in the book. That's not my thing. It has been problematic in the past. But I do believe people should be independent thinkers because of what's happening in this moment, the information that's coming at us, the misinformation, disinformation. We have to be fact checkers. We have to hold our leaders accountable. So there's this independent thinking that I truly believe in. And so there are problems with the system. There are things that need to be fixed. I am still aligned with the Democratic Party, but now I want to see if I can make change from the outside. And you just said the books are flying off the shelf. So that means there's a conversation. People are engaged,
Right.
and there's a conversation that's happening. And what I'm telling people, especially young people, is to please get engaged, is to please get involved. Don't be disillusioned, because we need you. Look, 60 years of damage has been done from this administration in 10 months. That means
Mm.
when we finally, hopefully, get Trump out, that we have to rebuild. We have to rebuild the education department. We have to rebuild all of these agencies, and we can't rebuild them the same. We have to reimagine what that looks like. And I believe those conversations should happen now.
Yeah, I just want to say I'm so glad that you clarified that, because for the past 3 to 4 weeks, they said you left the party, that you left the Democratic Party, and that you were an
Well, no,
independent.
no, but I
That-
am. I did leave the Democratic Party. I did. But I am
Okay.
saying is I don't want a third party. I'm sorry, I must have
Okay.
misconstrued my answer. I am. But I want to make change from the outside. I am not telling people to
God,
become
okay.
independent. I'm explaining myself and explaining the importance. That's what I said. It's very nuanced. It's very, very nuanced. But what
Mhm.
I'm trying to do is start a conversation, and the conversation has started. I'm a private citizen right now, and I'm trying to figure out where's my voice in this moment. And so I didn't mean to misspeak there, but I do believe I am one person, and I hope to use my platform in a way that matters. And a lot of the things that I'm
Well,
saying is what people are feeling. The Democratic Party is unpopular right now
mhm.
because people are disillusioned and upset with what's happening with our leadership.
Yeah. We realize we're gonna soon run out of time. Each of us probably has at least one more question. I know our producer has a question for you, but I'm gonna ask mine first, and that is,
Okay.
you've been so busy that I'm pretty sure you probably are not keeping up with a lot of the press surrounding your tour, your book tour,
Yeah.
especially the negative side,
Yep.
right? Because you have some, including some of your colleagues, your ex-colleagues, saying that you've made yourself
Yeah.
the story and not the message. Do you believe your personal journey in any way overshadows your political argument?
I mean, here's the thing, and I don't know who those colleagues are. Obviously, they're not named. Um, and one of the things that I did here is I use my identity too much, which is like, what does that even mean? Who can tell
Right.
me how I identify myself? When I walk into a room, I'm automatically stereotyped because I'm a Black woman, and that's what people
Yep.
see. And the criticism that I got while I was White House press secretary was about me being a Black woman. Right? I mean, that's the criticism that I would get. And so now to say that I can't tell my story, that I can't speak, just because you don't like the messenger doesn't mean that I don't have the right to speak. And that's the problem. I think it's the message that is bothering them. It's the messenger, probably. It's the messenger that's bothering them. And no one has any right to tell me how I identify myself, how I see myself, and how I want to speak to things that matter to me and the communities that I love and care about. And that's their issue, not mine.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Couldn't agree more. Go
Oh,
ahead, Niel.
right. Last question. Where should we expect to see you next? Are we going to see you on the news circuit? Are we going to see you behind some campaigns? Are we going to see you running for for something? Where can what's
Well,
next?
one of the things that I'm enjoying is going to universities and talking to young people and getting them engaged and excited about being part of the process. I do want young people to run for office, get engaged in the process, and I believe, and I say to them, if you want to make a change, get involved. Even think about running for office. One of the things, there are a couple of projects that I'm really excited about. One of them is, I don't know if you've ever heard of Ethel Payne and Alice Dunnigan. They were the
Of
two
course.
first Black women. Yeah, right? Two first Black women journalists that were part of the White House press corps. And I recently have acquired the rights to their books, and I want to tell their story. And they were
Nice.
amazing.
Nice.
They have an amazing story, both of them, obviously respectively. And just think about it, they were part of the White House press corps 75 years ago. Like, just think about Eisenhower. I mean, they were trying to ask questions of President Eisenhower, and he wouldn't take their questions. They were surrounded by the boys' club, and they had to figure out how to manage and maneuver these spaces and report back to their community, the Black community. That was their job, is to report back. And so I want to tell those stories. I want to tell stories of people who people may not know fully, or their voices haven't gotten lost in history. And so those are projects that I want to work on and that I want to do.
They were part of the Black press, and they were also a part of the National Newspaper Publishers Association. So they're from
Yes.
our family. We are their descendants.
Yes.
And you guys,
That's
a
right.
couple of years ago at the Correspondents Association dinner, they were awarded.
Yep.
And they should, they deserve that, and we appreciated that. And we always appreciated,
Yeah.
Karine, how you and the former president did talk a lot about the Chicago Defender, the Black press. We appreciate that a lot.
Absolutely,
So
because
thank you so
we
much.
have to know where it began. You got to know where it began, and that's how I learned about them, from the White House Correspondent Association dinner. And I was like, oh wow, I myself had not heard of them. Yeah.
Oh.
I'm looking forward to seeing that. I can't wait.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh,
Karine
a lot of work to do,
Jean-Pierre.
but I'm. Bye, guys. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
We appreciate you. Wow.
Bye-bye. Peace and love.
Yeah, that was a insightful interview, and I think she answered some questions that cleared some things up for us.
Oh, for sure, definitely. And just her space and where she decides to land in politics will be interesting to watch, because she's definitely pushing for Democrats, but has removed herself from the party. But I also like the fact that she said she wants to speak at college campuses, because, like I said, that's where the new voting block is going to come from. And so that's something that Obama always talks about too. So thank you for booking that interview. Great conversation, Stacey.
Oh, it was, and it didn't disappoint. She never does. We talked a little bit about the criticism she's gotten from certain forces, but one of the things, as somebody who was at the White House a lot when she and her administration, when the Biden administration was there, I always found the criticism of her to be exactly what she said, simply because she's a Black woman.
Right. And at least we got the truth. We're not getting nothing out of those folks in the White House. Nothing.
Yeah. And I'm hopefully, I think David Youngblood and Mike V and the rest are very happy, because all year I've been seeing in the chat these guys saying, "Where's Karine? Y'all got to have Karine on again. You got to have Karine on it." And so we made it happen.
We made it happen right here on Let It Be Known.
See you then.